and good morning, everyone. Actually, wait a minute. It's good afternoon. Yeah, threw you off a little bit today. Threw myself off as well. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to Storm Talk. I know, unusual time. It's one of those days. Long story. But I hope you guys are doing well, and happy Monday. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you got some rest. Angela, looking forward. You are coming to the fair tomorrow, Angela. Well, good. Looking forward to seeing you. Carson, I know, is going to be out there, as well as the rest of the team. So looking forward to seeing you. Again, tomorrow is Wave Day at the fair. We'll be out there. I'll be out there close to about 1 o'clock, so pretty close to this time. I should be heading out there to the fairgrounds. And then I'll be live out there for a while during the afternoon. So trying to catch me earlier to that 1 o'clock window if you can, because the closer it gets to 3 o'clock, I'll be honest, it's going to be a little tougher to track me down. I'll be all over the place. Who was first today? I didn't catch it on YouTube. Was it Blue? Blue was first. All right. Roger was first in general on X. So way to go, Roger, for making it on there. Hello to Christy and ZK. Jason's on here. Albert as well. Hello, Brad. Crispy. I think some of you just are nonstop on the blog. I love it. But I think you guys, do you guys ever sleep? I feel like you guys are on here more than we are. Hello to Wyatt, watching right now on Twitch. All right, so we got a good little mix of folks here on today. Now, let me be just very clear to start off by saying there's nothing alarming that's coming our way, so don't take the special time to indicate that something bad's coming. That's not the case at all. But we do have a chance to get some storms, yes, absolutely. And honestly, for some of you, I really think you really will want the rain out of this type of setup, because it may take some time to get back to getting a decent widespread rain event in the area. It may, unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not sure how this will feel yet, it may come down to the tropics getting involved. It won't be Aaron, but maybe additional systems down the road may have to get involved to really help us out with rainfall. That's typically what we run into anyway this time of the year. We just don't want the really bad impacts. Last year, you guys remember Helene. That was obviously a nightmare for the mountains when it hit there. It hit our area, you guys. Was it Bird and Beyond or Louder Than Life? Oh, I get them backwards. But it was one of those. The very first day it was impacted by Helene, and they had to shut down. I think they had to shut down for 2 days, right, for the concert, because the weather was so bad here. So, and that was in the middle of a drought scenario. And it was some of the hottest weather we'd had at that point was taking place when we got to Helene's setup. But that's common for us to run into. Our only chance to get rain in the dry season isn't from a fading hurricane or a tropical storm setup. So we'll see how this plays out. But boy, it's got a lot of eerie similarities to that idea that will unfold into the coming weeks. Okay, so we'll get to that in the longer term in a second. As always, I like to start off with some really good news, and that's always the countdown to fall. 35 days and counting. I love when we have a weekend too, where I don't see you all, because it has a nice little jump in the countdown part. And as we've alluded to several times here, you don't have to wait until 35 days to get fall weather. I mean, we'll only have to wait a week, and you'll get a nice little taste of it anyway coming our way. But that's the plus side to dry air and a dry ground, is you can have more dramatics on the heat at times. You can still get surges up to 90 with a dry ground, but boy, your overnight lows recover in a big way. Versus a humid setup, you don't have a lot of recovery. Those numbers are very few. The ranges are very small in ups and downs that take place. But you get into dry air, they're much more dramatic, so you can still get some cooler nights and dry weather, but you can still heat up too. So I don't think we're entirely done. Hold on one second. What is this alert I'm seeing here? Okay, well, for those of you, I guess it's trying to connect to my page. Facebook is having some issues today, apparently. All right, so anyway, hold on one second. Let me fix this. Some of you are probably able to see us on the Wave Weather Facebook. I doubt you are on mine. I'll work on that later. Let me get that removed off of there. So, let's see. Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. Technical issues. Got to take care of here. See what's going on. All right. We'll get that removed for now. I'll come back and look at it later. Sorry about that. Facebook's doing its thing here today. Okay, so anyway, we'll come back around to the longer term here in a second, but at least want to mention fall. That's important. Okay, the heat as of late. You know what? You may be thinking, well, this hasn't been that bad. We're all bracing basically for the hottest of the year, right? And it's been underperforming. Now, a couple of reasons for that. Moisture levels do count for sure, but we've had a lot of little small interruptions that have come into play that, depending on when they interrupt, what time of day, they have a big impact on highs. And that's certainly been the case in the past couple of days, especially yesterday when we had that fading complex of storms that over from Indiana. It brought with it a ton of cirrus clouds. And cirrus clouds just, they don't provide for rain, but they just kind of stuck around throughout a good chunk of the heating part of the day. We really didn't get into a sunnier setup until early afternoon, mid-afternoon. At that point, the atmosphere is actually stabilized, but the recovery on the thermometer was very, very small. So we only made it to 87. So that helped us in a big way. Now, the core of the heat was not expected, and still is not expected to be until tomorrow. That's when the actual atmosphere buckles just enough to allow for the max heating to take place. But there is still a chance that could get interrupted. And it's a very similar scenario to what happened yesterday morning with thunderstorms that dropped in from Indiana, and we got a lot of debris clouds. Thunderstorms are going to approach Indiana again late tonight. They will likely fall apart. But how much cloud cover from that will linger tomorrow morning? That's a big player on how hot we are going to get for tomorrow's high. So tomorrow may work in our favor if we get clouds early enough in the day. Even if we end up sunny by midday, I don't know if it's going to be enough recovery time. We'll see. But it will certainly keep us from getting to the hottest of the year, which is 97, which we've done twice in June. That is looking much more unlikely. So that's some good news I can share with you all. I think that's a plus. Are we done with the 90s? Someone's going to ask it. If you haven't yet, I'm going to. No, we're not done with the 90s. I think they will come back. Even after this cool wave that you're about to see for next week, I still think they can come back. I think it's going to take just a little bit longer to completely get rid of those. Usually it's about the second week of September in our area that we start to say the all clear. There's one exception to that. You guys probably remember 2019. It lasted all the way into October. I don't think it's going to be the case this year. But let me just stay quiet because I don't want to jinx it. So where do we stand on 90-degree days? Well, so far we're at 41, which is actually pretty typical. Not too unusual to get that number of 41 days. But it's last check, I know Ryan Hoke's doing the stats on tracking our ranking of the summer season. Last check, it was number 3. I'm not sure if we're still at that mark or not because we've had some cooler days compared to what was expected recently. So we'll see. But it's been the overnight lows that have made the biggest difference in our area, not so much the highs this year. So it's always a fun stat to track, but it hasn't been as relevant as the overnight lows have been. But unfortunately, they don't really get tracked very well. Overnight lows, there are records on them, but not a lot of long-term stuff that we've been able to keep track of. So, and the heat-on effect, the city builds up, more concrete gets added, so it gets a little skewed. So it's hard to compare it to what the airport was like in the 60s and 70s, right? So it's a hard stat to track. It really is hard. I mean, there's no doubt that number will go up. So it's hard to man and control on the tracking the stats on that. Okay, so where do we stand right now? Well, we got some hazy sunshine. It's hazy because we have cirrus clouds over us right now, which can save us a degree or two. That's possible. So we've already accounted that for the high today. We're going about 93. We'll see if we need to shave off even more off of that or not. We'll go with about 93 for now. But we were betting on that being shaved down just because of the cirrus we have overhead and an east flow, east wind in the area today. But a pretty shot there of the throwaway at the Fair and Expo Center. No rain the last 24 hours anywhere in Wave Country. It was a dry setup after some downpours in our southern counties yesterday morning that took place. And it's really only very far southern counties got rain. All right, here's the cirrus clouds. If you look carefully, you can even see that east flow right there. See it drifting now. It's starting to weaken. So the airport, the wind to the airport now is coming in at variable, which means it's kind of just gently blowing in different directions. There's no one dominant direction, but it's a pretty obvious east flow we had here today. That punched in some dry air right along I-64 in southern Indiana. That may be enough to save us from any type of rain chance today in our region. especially around Louisville. The exception is areas where that east flow didn't quite reach you all. In southern areas of Greene, Taylor, down into Adair, even Marion County, I can throw into that mix. Therefore, you actually have the best chance to probably get, if there's any shower that may try to form, those cumulus there would be there, but even that, these cumulus are relatively small. It's not very impressive there. But overall, that easterly flow today did help us out, and hopefully it'll help us out on temperatures as well. We're running right now at about 85 here in Louisville. We'll get a new update in about 10 minutes from now. The front to our west is the one that's going to be our main focal point tomorrow for showers and storms. But here's what's weird about this. Now, see how it had, is pretty well defined this morning with some showers and a little bit of thunderstorm activity. Weekend already. It will refire again, roughly the same spot, just a little more east today is where it'll fire. And then we'll get leftover clouds again that'll drop down late tonight into the Wabash area, Illinois and Indiana. The question is, how far south will they go? If they arrive here overnight near sunrise tomorrow, it will help us out in the heat a bit more tomorrow morning. Now, the downside to that is it's an outflow. So the outflow would park itself very close to southern Illinois and Indiana, Missouri, and that could be where the starting point is for the showers and storms tomorrow, would be nearly in that same spot. So where they park tonight and go to sleep is really crucial in that, because this front, it doesn't have a lot of forcing with it. It's a very diffuse type of front, and that's mainly because of the feature you can't see right now, and that's Aaron off to the side. Aaron is pumping up enough of a ridge here that it's allowing for this front to really feel the effects. It's just not strong enough to compete with Aaron. So it's starting to weaken, and as it gets closer to us, it will slow down even more. It will likely linger across the region still on Wednesday, very much diffuse in the area, as Aaron does the whole turn way out to sea, not going through the Carolinas, but I'm trying to at least draw so you can see what I'm referring to, as it makes that curve out to sea. And then once Aaron makes the turn and heads back out to the northern Atlantic, then we will see a little more of a dramatic push of drier air north to south for the rest of the week. So tomorrow and Wednesday are kind of the buffer days. They're a little iffy on storm chances because, again, you don't have a lot of forcing, so it's going to be hard to get a lot of showers and storms to react to that and blow up on the radar. That's good, and avoiding severe weather, right? At least widespread severe weather. You can still get a couple, one or two pulse-type strong storms just because of the heat of the day. That's always possible, so I can't rule that out. But widespread, organized, severe, unlikely. There's no outlet from the Storm Prediction Center, and it makes sense. There's nothing to really give them a tailpipe. They're missing that big ingredient as we head into tomorrow and Wednesday. So a very sloppy setup here, to be honest with you, on our storm chances the next couple of days. But if we don't get anything out of this weak front to kind of just drips through here in a very nonchalant way, then we're going to really find ourselves entering a little bit more of a problem when it comes to drought into the longer term here. So tomorrow and Wednesday will be crucial in getting rain. So keep it on the Wave Weather app. I hope I have more good news to share with you all tomorrow about that, about the idea the rain chances can usually go up as we head into tomorrow. But right now, ZK, so no rain tomorrow? No, the rain chance is there. It's just that it's not going to be overly organized. It's hard for me to draw. Let me try to word this in a different way. I can't draw a squall line coming through here tomorrow with the front. It's going to be highly randomized on how they will develop, and it will be very much based on what happens tonight and how that boundary drops in from Indiana. Where does it stop? Some of the models park it more north of Evansville. Some bring it all the way down, actually, all the way into western Kentucky, all the way through Cincinnati. So big questions on where that will stop tonight, because that should be the starting point tomorrow for the scattering of showers and storms. But yes, there is a chance you could get completely messed, ZK. It could be you. You may not even see a drop out of this entire setup for the rest of the week. You may not get any rain at all in the entire 10-day. Some of you. So I know, kind of a weird setup. You see the moisture flow today, again, a little bit lower coming in from the east, our flow today. That's why we're not worried about rain today. But you see how it does pull up. It pulls up more ahead of the actual low itself, moving through the Great Lakes in Wisconsin. But the front, I mean, it's hard to even pick out the front, right? Look at that. You're looking for usually a spike of those darker greens and some of those blues that show up ahead of the front. Yeah, it's missing. Don't have as much of a strong signal there. So again, it's not a huge setup for a lot of problems with showers and storms. But I do think it's our only chance. Fingers crossed on that. All right, here's Futurecast. This is one of our in-house models. They all look a little different in the storyline and how they evolve, but I got to start with something. So let's show you this afternoon. Again, you can tell that's your higher Cape. This is that brighter gold area, so it's more into Illinois. Even there's not a lot of action that shows up today. Even for them, they're like, come on, we need some rain. Much more around Chicago, again, getting showers and storms, but they're so much closer to the low itself. They got more to work with. All right, we get into tomorrow. Here's where they begin to fade out. And this is where the snapshot is at 10 o'clock in the morning. You can even see the outflow right there that at least this particular model shows. And again, they all look slightly different. They all haven't done great in the past week with the storm trends. They've all just been off. You know, a county here or there, and boy, that just has greater consequences down the line. If it's off initially, the whole entire model runs off. So modeling is a very low confidence on that. There's Wavy popping in, by the way, with the crash in the Snyder in 71. In case you guys are not used to seeing Wavy. There he is popping in. Okay, so again, that outflow is crucial early in the day when it pops in as we head into early in the day on your Tuesday. But as we evolve into the afternoon, it tries to redevelop again. It doesn't really, it struggles because it tries to push so much dry air with that outflow early in the morning that we have sinking air in Louisville, not rising air. So you end up with showers and storms only on the leading edge of the outflow and then certainly back into Illinois. And look what it does to the temperature, 87 at 5 in the afternoon, not 95. So if the outflow does come in the morning, that not only likely could end our rain chances if it comes all the way through, but it would also bust the temperature forecast. Not a fun time to be a meteorologist in this kind of a setup, but I think as long as you guys are aware of the possibilities and the trends that we're looking at, I think you guys don't get as upset, right? You guys are understanding. Y'all seem nice. But it's complex. And you can see why it's hard to explain this in just 2.5 minutes on TV. Very difficult to go through all the different scenarios without making your head spin, because my head's spinning now just trying to explain to you all. But we have to give you guys something. We have to give you a high, we have to give you guys the rain chance and let you all go on with your day. But here on the blog, we have a chance to explain these finer details. I wish we could do this all the time on every weathercast, because I think these points, these little finer details, they do matter. And I think if everyone understood all those little finer those little points into a forecast, you would understand what to look for. Make you guys, again, deputizing you all as meteorologists, what to look for when you get up in the morning to know which way this is going to go. So all we can do is wait, unfortunately, and see how it plays out. All right, so shower storms possible. The front, again, still in the area because it will not go all the way through into Georgia or Chattanooga or anywhere because of Aaron. It is sensing the effects of Aaron at that point, making its recurving nature now off the Carolina coast. So the front just kind of just stalls and waits. It just kind of like sitting back to the side, like maybe Aaron won't see me. Maybe Aaron will just scoot by and won't see me at all. That's that kind of a feeling that the front will have. So the front just kind of lingers a bit, but once Aaron passes by, then we'll have a better opportunity. You see the showers and storms for Wednesday. Try to fire again where the boundary is likely going to be stuck. Where that is, TBD. Moves into the area, and then finally as we get into Thursday, it has a chance to move down to the south and we lower the humidity values. All right. There's a very long-winded answer to how the outflows are going to play. They're absolutely crucial, you're right, Angela, on how this is going to be for rain chances tomorrow and for Wednesday. Okay, any questions on that? Did I confuse you guys more? Type 1 if you're good. Type 1 if you're good. Ashley, congratulations. What happened? You had a baby? Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, congrats, Ashley. Ashley's a long time viewer with us here on the blog, so I'm glad there's no severe weather to worry about, Ashley, for a while. Weather geek, 1 if you're good. Yeah, 1 if you're good. 1 if you're good. Just type 1 if you're good. All right, so this is what you guys want to know is about the hurricane, obviously, and what's going to happen in long term. So let me get right into that. Let's start with the latest satellite look of Aaron way out here in the Atlantic. And it's not just Aaron, as I alluded to at the very beginning of the blog. Look at that circulation already. It's already there. I mean, that's step 1, right? Step 2 is to get thunderstorms at the center of it. That's going to take a little bit more time, but this is going to be the next system to watch, which would be Fernan. And Fernan will If it stays south of Aaron, which it likely will, and it's drifting, it will have to stay south, because if it tries to take the same path that Aaron took, it will run into upwelling, where the water has been churned with the warmer water now displaced underneath the water there, and the cooler water has a chance to come to the surface now. That's not good for any tropical system. They don't like that, so they can't develop. But if it can stay south of where that upwelling zone is, it could actually try to develop a little more. The problem with that is it being more south, obviously, it's a little more of a threat to the islands and into the southeast corner of the country in the longer term. So Fernand is going to be one to watch carefully. It's just a matter of whether or not it can fully develop or not, given the environment that Aaron has created, which is a pretty hostile environment in general. But it can happen if it's slow enough and allows a little bit more distance between the two. Things could get a little more on the wilder side there. So that's what we're going to be watching. But right now, main focal point is going to be Aaron, which let me zoom in on the eye. Hard to see the eye right now. It's a little more obscured today, but a very pretty presentation. You can see that on the infrared as well, a little more obscured. It will likely redevelop into a visible eye this afternoon once that air heats up in the center of it and the air sinks. We'll be able to get a little bit more of a definitive eye. And as Aaron makes its way to the north, when tropical systems get into the cooler waters that have been found a little further north, when they travel, they not only expand in their wind field, but the actual eye itself will get absolutely large. So it'll look like a giant donut is what Aaron will look like when it passes the Carolinas. It's going to be a very well-defined eye at that point, but not in the sense that the eye is very intense. It just means the energy has been taken from holding the core of the eye really close together to now more broad. So therefore, it doesn't hold on to that tight circulation. The clouds don't hold on to that center as much. So you develop much more of the donut hole look. And so it'll be a very definitive look of a hurricane as it moves into the Carolinas. The problem with it getting such a bigger wind field, obviously, is that tropical storm force winds now will impact the eastern Bahamas and then maybe even the Outer Banks. But the beaches are already seeing issues. Wave forecast right now for a lot of the Carolina beaches anyway are coming in about 7 feet for a forecast. The Outer Banks may even go 12 feet or higher. So rough seas for sure. I've saw that several cruise ships have already had to change the course, obviously, get out of the way, because it's just not, even if it's not a direct impact with Aaron on its course, the impacts as far as rough seas, not too good for the passengers. So they got to play it safe and just move everyone out of the way until Aaron passes. Yeah, some pretty high waves, though, for Aaron. So let me give you through the stats as of last check. 140 miles per hour, Cat 4 is the latest listing on that. So it did increase a bit at the 11 a.m. advisory. The next one should be due within an hour. Usually intermediate advisories don't change a whole lot, so we may have to wait until really 5 o'clock to see anything dramatically different on a status. But Category 4, forecast to stay at a 4 level. It's not forecast to go back up to a 5. It may get close. It may get a little bit stronger again before it gets to drop back down as it gets that wider wind field and weakens a bit more back into a Cat 3. But it should still stay a major hurricane, even the latitude there of the Carolinas. And then it'll just gradually weaken back as it heads into either Ireland or United Kingdom area as we head into the following weekend and becomes their issue, although it'll be just an area of low pressure at that point. But for the East Coast, it's really just the waves more than anything. And I think as long as that's the only issue, I think everyone can live with just staying out of the water for a little bit versus a direct impact of a hurricane, right? But Fernand, keep an eye on Fernand right in behind it. Sometimes that one could be a sneaky one. You got to really watch those. I think that's how Milton felt for me last year with Helene, because Helene was so dramatic for the Tennessee area, North Carolina, that in the mountains, everyone was, obviously focused on that. And then Milton came in and set a lot of pressure records as well. So, yeah, there's always a lot of issues with when it's a 1-2 punch like that. All right, so what's the game plan for us? Well, there goes Aaron heading out to see does it stain. This will allow for, again, our front to have a chance to finally push all the way down. Now, it's still going to be hot. We're still going to get up to 90, up to maybe 92 degrees at the end of this week. But the humidity will be knocked down several levels. So while it's hot, it won't be overly humid. To be honest with you, it'll feel very much like what today feels like. It's how the end of the week will also feel. Tomorrow is the only thing that changes a bit. We get into the weekend. The weekend's interesting. It's a double punch of fronts to come in, which is pretty common to see that. It's almost like a 1-2. Here's one that will move in late Saturday into Sunday, and this is the one that'll drop down late Sunday into Monday. They don't have a lot of moisture with them. So that's why the rain chance is not very impressive with these fronts. In fact, I don't know if we're going to get any rain out of these fronts, but they will take the humidity and the temperature both and knock them down in a step fashion. Again, one drop for the first part of the weekend, second half of the weekend, a second drop. The question is that second one, how far south is that going to go? The Euro takes it pretty far south. Not all the modeling agrees with that. And I can understand why, because right on its heels is a more of a zonal flow that develops. So whatever's here in the Rockies is going to race out quickly and move our way as we get into next week. So even if we got into the cooler flow of air, I don't know how long it's going to last. It won't take much to get back into the more humid setup and maybe some rain from that kind of a setup from the Rockies, maybe. We could get some showers and storms, but at that point we're going to be looking at the Gulf, right? We're going to be looking at the southeast corner of the country and seeing what's going on with Fernand, if that's the case, if it has developed into a named storm, where will it go at this point as it approaches? Now, I will say the long term is going to be crucial on where these highs are located. We know there's going to be at least one strong high that will be over the Great Lakes in the Ohio Valley, but how is it shaped? Is it shaped a little more like this or a little more east? That will determine whether or not Helene, if it moves in, if it will curve, or not Helene, excuse me, Fernand, if it'll move in and turn, or if it'll actually get trapped or head more west. This part of the forecast, I'm telling you, you're going to see so many different variations of this. Way too early, way too early. But it is going to be an interesting setup for the very end of August and early September, because we're going to be battling seasons now. We're going to have a really good taste of fall weather in the area, and then summer and the hurricane season trying to fight into that. Where do we end up in that whole mix? I don't know yet, but it's going to be interesting. Here's the humidity level. You see the drops that will happen this weekend. Very subtle at first, and then you see the second one, and that one's the most dramatic. Look at all that blue that arrives a week from today. Some of you may not get out of the 70s for highs as we head into early next week. All right, it's getting to your 10-day, and I'm going to run. You see we got 93 today. Again, we'll see how hot we're going to get. Not to harp on this, but don't stress on the heat side of things. I don't think that's going to be a huge factor on record highs. I don't know if the heat index is going to be a huge factor for very long based on the setup the next couple of days, but there's no doubt if there's any hot weather to track, it's going to be today and tomorrow. We get into Wednesday, that's when things start to shift a little more south, and then we get into the weekend. The weekend is going to be a hot weekend, but it won't be hot and humid. So it's got a big asterisk there with the weekend setup. So I think it's actually going to be a really nice setup for us for the Ohio Valley. And then next week, 50s at night. Oh my goodness. 50s at night. Fernand, yes. Nope. There is, let's see. It's just Fernand. There's no, I thought it was Fernand, but it's Fernand. Yes. Fernand is the spelling. Fernand. Fernand, which is very odd. I don't know if we've had that before. I think we have, but I don't remember saying it. If I did, I'm sure I said it wrong. So, you know, the names repeat on the list. They repeat until they're a major or a catastrophic event, then they get retired. And there's some names that have been retired, like Helene's been retired, Hugo, Andrew. But there's some you guys see a lot. Humberto, I think Gaston we see every once in a while. Tanya, Rebecca. What's another one that always shows up a lot? Anyway, they have some of the names you guys have heard multiple times. And you're like, I've heard this before. You're right. Until it becomes a catastrophic name, devastating. Even if it's a Cat 5 in the middle of the ocean, like Aaron is likely to come back again on the list. I don't think Aaron would be the type of system that would be removed. So they keep coming back until they are catastrophic. Okay, so any questions on the 10-day? I really I hope I made sense there. I haven't been feeling the greatest today. I apologize. So my brain is kind of mushy today. I blame ragweed. But I think you guys can get the storyline pretty well. And this has been showing up for a while. We've been talking about a drop in temperature coming. And it's still there. I'm glad. I just don't know how long it's going to stick around. All right, I'm going to bolt for now. I see that, okay, NBC is breaking in. I see now NBC is breaking in with a special report on the TV side. So I'm going to jump off of here and let you guys kind of keep an eye on the news today if you want to do that. And I'll be back on Wave News at 3, and we're going to get more data. The Euro's coming in right now. I'll let you know what the Euro says and whether or not we may have something even more exciting to show in the 10 days. So stay tuned. All right, guys, you all take care of each other. I will see you guys, if not this afternoon, I will see you at the fair at 1:30. You better come and say hi. See you then, guys.